JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net.
Ravens Wrap is sponsored by Bud Light, jctickets.net, Geico Insurance, Dunaway Furniture, Ocean City Golf Club, RussellStreetReport.com, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Holiday Inn Express, BuyAToyota.com, your official site for Toyota deals. The original Green Turtle, hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
And welcome back. It's the original Green Turtles Ravens Wrap Show for the Blue Ox, 127th Street and Coastal Highway in Ocean City, with Ravens fans all across Delmarva, including Ravens Roost 44. Give yourselves a hand, folks. And hey, we want to see you here at the Ravens Room. This is a one-of-a-kind room. Papo, you guys have done an unbelievable job here. If you have not been down to this Ravens Room, you have to come down and see it. Take a lot of pictures, bring the kids, bring family, bring friends. We want to see you down here. And we're making it more than worth your while because we're giving away 5 different pairs of tickets this year to Ravens games. In fact, the first drawing coming up on the 25th for the game against the Carolina Panthers, and then there'll be 4 other opportunities from there as well. We also have Bud Light prize packages we give away and hotel stays as well. So for those of you watching, say, in Easton or Cambridge or Lewis or Seaford, for instance, hey, you can come down and spend a great weekend in Ocean City with that package. So we want to see you down here. Most Wednesdays, 7 o'clock, doors open at 5:30. If we have a schedule change, we'll let you know. Obviously, we're doing this on Monday because the Steelers and Ravens and Steelers are playing on Thursday. Guys, I meant to make mention of this before the game. Before our first segment. We got the inactives before the game yesterday, and Friday we saw Lardarius Webb, and we'll expand on this a little bit later, but Friday we saw Lardarius Webb was questionable, and I said, well, maybe it's a little gamesmanship. Okay, maybe they're just being, just being precautious. But then we find out on game day he's out, which you're like, whoa. And then linebacker Arthur Brown, also a guy who's supposed to be very good in pass coverage against a team that has a lot of weapons, especially at tight end. He's not active for the game as well. Scratched a lot of heads, especially when you cut Derek Cox after you signed him. Then you cut him, probably knowing that Webb might not go. It's a head scratcher. So it certainly had us wondering about the game on Sunday and how it would turn out. And certainly I think we could have used a healthy Webb in that game. Now, I do want to let you know that there has been a transaction that Fitzgerald Toussaint, who was activated, the running back, he's now been cut. The Ravens have picked up a defensive tackle for the Cincinnati Bengals. So go figure. I don't know when the Ray Rice, extinction, so to speak, from the roster. I don't know when that kicks in, Bobby, to your question, because 2 roster spots, you got 1 more to fill.
One more guy, right.
Why did they cut Toussaint? We'll have to find out about that.
Particularly a running back, kind of like with Cox, you're thinking we need a corner,
Right.
and particularly Webb didn't play. They cut him a couple days before, the day before, and then they lose Rice, and they let Toussaint go. So
yeah,
it's kind of interesting.
We'll get into that. Getting back to the offense, though, as tough as it was in the first half, and I know we exchanged some text messages, John, and amongst us during the game, as tough as it was for Flacco in the first half, I thought things were a lot better in the second half. One of the things that didn't help him, though, 7 drops in the game. I believe 4 or 5 from Steve Smith Sr., even though he ended up having the best game out of the wide receivers. He had 4 or 5 drops. Jacoby Jones had a couple, and I think Owen Daniels had 1. So that was the breakdown, 4, 2, and 1, I believe. So there were plays to be had that Joe put it on the money. Guys just didn't make the play.
Yeah, the receiver, the Jacoby Jones was, a blatant drop. And a lot of those balls were catchable. These guys are pros and need to bail each other out. It's, a lot of missed throws and a lot of drop balls. And that's, you can't get in an offensive groove when you can't convert and when you're missing opportunities. So it kind of builds on itself over the course of the game. But when you're playing a good team, and the Bengals are a more complete team at this point than the Ravens, but this is a game, to your point, Bobby, earlier, this is a game that the Ravens typically win at home. Even when they fall behind, they come back. It felt like, here we go again. We're going to pull it out and win this thing. And, so it's not like the sky is falling. I don't anticipate us not executing like that.
I mean, it's very correctable, though. These guys,
Yeah, right.
Papo, have good hands. They're veterans. It's not like them to drop balls. I mean, Jones had issues in Houston, but he has been very good for us in the first 2 years here. Some dropsies yesterday,
Well,
but I don't expect that to continue.
Well,
though,
he's not a hands catcher, and when you don't catch with your hands, you drop balls. He always catches with his body.
He supposedly was getting better at that in training camp this year. Is
And
what
when
they
you
were
do
saying.
that ball just kind of hits stuff and just falls through. You got to catch with you.
When you
Receivers
throw
catch
the
with
ball
it.
65 times, someone's going to drop them, the quarterback's going to have some bad passes, and some balls are going to be caught. I thought 65 is maybe a little bit too many. I mean, you played football. I never played football. Did you play football? I'm not sure. But it's 65 a lot?
Well, they're the most targets in the whole in the entire league. You got to remember we have Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck and Drew Brees and Matt Ryan, all these teams, pass-happy offenses. Aaron Rodgers. There's the most a receiver was targeted all week in all the games was 15, and the Ravens had 2 of them. 2 15-target guys with Pitta and Steve Smith. So I mean,
Well, that gets back to our point
threw
that
the
we
ball
said
way
in
too
the
much.
first segment. We didn't establish the run, didn't even try. They get behind, then they're forced to play catch up, and then they put the ball in there even more. Although in the second half they were moving the ball, moving the chains, so they did run the football a little bit more. But we've talked about this dozens of times on the show. Pretty much Joe Flacco, what you saw, he had a bad game. It wasn't one of his better games. But he can be inconsistent. He can be inaccurate at times. But he also can make enough plays to win you football games.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed that on Sunday. I mean, Steve Smith said it. He said, we couldn't catch a cold. And, if Jacoby Jones makes that play, it's a whole different game. The play he made going into halftime, just like he even admitted it, was the dumbest play he's ever made. It was just a
that's
dumb
it.
Cost
football
us a
play.
field
But
goal.
that's it. It's not Joe's ability, when Joe's inconsistent, and Preston put it as the good Joe and the bad Joe. That's right. That's what he is. So how do we get more of the good Joe? And it seems like more of the good Joe is those crazy plays when he's rolling and just making plays happen. So why don't we just let him go?
Explain it to me.
When he's thinking, that's when bad Joe comes out.
When
When
you-
he's trying to think,
He's a streaky guy. He's a streaky.
so let him play. This is like go to run and shoot and let him just playground it. Just let him call the plays. Give him a playbook.
Today you
tell
were
him to
telling
know
me
it.
he doesn't audible enough. He doesn't change his calls on the line like a Peyton Manning or someone like that does. Explain that to me, because not playing football, I don't understand that as much as you
He's milking
football
this
guys.
text I sent him.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, if I had a soccer question.
Don't
I
go
would
on
ask
soccer. Will you just stick to the questions and answer it?
him. Look, Peyton Manning isn't always changing the play when you hear all that stuff he's doing. All he's doing is he is trying to get the defense to show their hand. And this is exactly what was going on the last offensive play of the game. Joe has a clear problem with a safety blitz or a safety showing the blitz. This goes back 5 years to when Palomalo stripped them in a big game against the Steelers. So it happened last year on Monday Night Football. Gruden says everyone's the greatest. It's the only time I ever heard Gruden say anything bad about a quarterback. He can't read that play, and I don't know what it is. He's got to see it because
Well,
everyone.
no, John, I'll tell you what it is. I watched a tape of that game before I came here for the show. He did not look over and see the safety come
Well,
up.
that's just poor.
He
Then
needed to
then he
slide the
can't play
protection.
pro football.
He needed to slide the protection to that side.
That's not
change
defending
things up.
Joe right there.
It was tough. He needed to
Yeah,
do
but
something like that.
John, the point is, if that's
He didn't look
that's
over there.
Joe, that's Joe.
There's
He's-
no running back,
he's still-
and there's no one to block.
Yeah, it was an empty backfield.
He's still a good quarterback who won a Super Bowl, who's won several playoff games, who's been successful in the NFL. Is he Tom Brady? Is he Drew Brees? Is he Peyton Manning?
Can he
Absolutely
count?
not.
Can he count 1, 2, 3,
John,
4,
if
5?
that's the worst-
and no one's there to block that guy. Can he do that?
I guarantee
That is
you,
not hard.
he's not a perfect quarterback.
And
We
that's
know
why
that.
he got sacked.
You're trying to make him sound bad because he's not in that league. He's not as maybe a play caller like a Peyton Manning. He doesn't read defenses as good as Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. He's not. He's Joe Flacco. That's who he is. So once we understand that's exactly who he is, we have to live with that.
Hold on.
He's-
We paid 120. Can he count the zeros in his paycheck?
That's why I'm here. I just want to let
Okay.
you know, I'm here to separate these two. Little size advantage over
He
here.
can't count defenders and not know.
Just because you pay a guy $120 million doesn't mean that you're an elite quarterback.
All right, well, guys, we don't want to get. I don't want to get stuck on
Then
this.
we got to get Steve here
Yeah.
tomorrow and find.
Let's talk about.
I'm sure he'll come here tomorrow.
That's
let's-
my opinion.
I'll give
let's
him a
talk
call
about-
tonight.
They had to pay. Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's flip it around. Okay. Right. Let's flip it around. Let's get rid of Joe. And who do you want?
Would you rather
Who do you
have
want?
Joe Flacco and Torrey Smith or Josh McCown and Brandon Marshall.
I'd rather have Joe Flacco and Torrey Smith.
Well, Josh
How
McCown
many-
doesn't even play on the Bears.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm just throwing two. I'm throwing
Yeah.
two guys out.
He plays for Tampa.
Because
Bay.
we can't-
Can we move on?
Yeah, I
Mike?
wanna
Can we
move
get
on.
control of this?
Because
Yeah.
we can't get a
Well-
Brandon Marshall because of Joe Flacco's
All right,
contract.
John,
My point is,
we're
we
moving-
need,
Mike, John.
we need a quarterback that can count defenders and say, oh, by the way, Dennis Pitta, the play call is you running it down and out, but here's a guy, the only guy that can potentially cover you is this defensive end that's in a 4-point stance. There's no one in center field. He's coming. The linebacker's on the line of scrimmage. This safety's coming. They're probably, and then with 17 seconds left on the play clock, the linebacker peels off. He can't walk up to the line of scrimmage, tell the offensive lineman to shift. You see quarterbacks do this all the time. This is football, right?
John, your point.
And then he can't say, all right, I'm going to change the play, and Pitta, you're going to beat this guy up the seam for a touchdown to tie the game. He can't do that.
Maybe he can.
That's just
All
Joe
right,
Flacco.
John,
That's
your
your
point's-
answer.
hey,
That's
John,
just
yeah,
your point.
you got your
So I'll
point.
just,
John,
I'll
your
just
point
snap
is
the ball
taken.
and run around.
Hey,
and
Steve
fall down.
Saza, you're sitting here in the next 2 segments.
Your point is
You're going to
taken.
be sitting here. I'm out.
Your point is taken. Moving on from that, though, some positives out of that in the second
Just
half.
say what it is. I mean, he's my guy too. 5's my favorite number. I love him.
You're
He's my
right.
favorite
You're right.
quarterback.
Let's move on.
I mean, come on. Let's
All right,
let's
some
be- let's just speak the truth.
All right. Well, we got the truth.
That's
All
your
right.
truth.
All right,
That's your
let's
truth.
go.
There's still enough plays I thought he made that we should have possibly won that game. But moving on from that, some positives
Agreed.
though. We had 5 guys who had 4 catches or more. We had 7 guys who had 2 catches or more, which means that he spread the football around, which means that coming into the Steelers game, there's defensively, who are you going to shut down? Pick your poison. So I think that is a great reflection of the Gary Kubiak offense, the spreading around the football. And guys will say this, we talked about the negatives with Joe. I saw some real positives though too, and him getting rid of the football quickly, especially against some pressure. I saw that ball out of his hand at times a lot quicker than what I've seen in years past. And granted, it was a different offense as well. But I saw some good things, a quick bench pattern to Dennis Pitta, from the tight end position, or a quick hit over the middle. I saw some positives there. I think this offense is going to pick itself up and from the second half of the game and carry it into Thursday's game.
I think everybody feels that way.
Oh, I even feel that way.
Yeah, I think they got an awful lot of weapons. Yeah, let's hear it for John.
That's breaking news.
I mean, I'm not. The sky is definitely not falling here.
All right, guys, let's talk about running back, though. Bernard Pierce, guy that made some big plays in the Super Bowl run. Also a guy, though, that's been very injury-prone. And, we'll have to get to this in the next segment. But Justin Forsett picked up and took over after the fumble. Pierce is in the doghouse. We'll talk about that more coming up. And then we'll start to get in the defense. Also, we got the Steelers to get to. It's Steeler week on a short week. Back-to-back games like that, AFC games in 4 or 5 days, that's tough. So we've got more to come here. It is the original Green Turtles Ravens wrap show for the Blue Ox in Ocean City on Comcast Beach TV. We're back next. Give it here.
What's this all about?
We're giving Rich the NFL experience of a goal line dive.
Really?
There's an easier way to get an ultimate NFL fan experience. Just snap the tag wherever Bud Light is sold and you could win. Bud Light in the NFL. Here we go.
Did I make it?
On the internet, yes. Into the end zone, no.
Come see us at the Blue Ox.
JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net.